There are days when everything around you moves fast, expectations piling up, people needing answers, and the weight of being strong becoming unbearable. But inside, something slows to a halt. It's not depression, not exactly sadness, just this quiet heaviness that follows you everywhere, even into sleep. You wake up tired, not just from the lack of rest, but from carrying a self that feels more like a mask than a home. And there's this whisper, sometimes clear, sometimes faint, asking if life was always meant to feel like survival? You push through anyway, because what choice is there? But the ache remains, not loud, not dramatic, just persistent, like a door left ajar somewhere deep in you. A door you don't know how to close, but aren't sure you want to. Because part of you suspects there's something behind it that you've forgotten. You've built a version of yourself that works, a self that shows up, performs, answers emails, loves as best it can, tries to be enough, and most days it's enough to get by. But getting by isn't the same as being alive. And slowly something in you begins to notice the difference. Not because of a crisis, but because of a growing silence between moments. It's in the way you feel after the noise fades, after the to-do list is complete, and you're left alone with yourself. You sit there scrolling your phone, finishing dinner, folding laundry, and it hits you. You're present in your life, but somehow not in you. And the scariest part isn't the emptiness itself, but how familiar it's become. Like you've adjusted to not feeling whole, like being disconnected has become your normal. Then one day, or maybe in the middle of a night that never quite lets you rest, you hear the words again, not from a sermon, not from a book, but from somewhere inside. I am the way, the truth, and the life. You've heard it before, maybe ignored it, maybe dismissed it as religious talk that didn't really apply to your life. But now something's different. The words don't arrive like rules. They arrive like a mirror, not telling you who to be, but reminding you of something underneath everything you've tried to be. Something that doesn't need to prove, to explain, or to fix. A presence that just is, steady like breath, patient like love that never leaves, even when you do. This isn't a call to believe something new or fix what's broken. It's an invitation to stop, not to collapse, but to finally let the tension go. To drop, just for a moment, the weight of being enough, the chase to be better, the quiet panic that maybe you're falling behind. Because there's a kind of truth that doesn't arrive through striving. It reveals itself in stillness. And that stillness is not emptiness, it's not numbness. It's what remains when the mind quiets down enough for the heart to be heard. And when it speaks, it doesn't say, do more. It says, I'm still here. You don't need to go anywhere to find it. There's no path to walk, no list to complete, no badge to earn. The way is not something you reach. It's what's already holding you from within. You might have covered it up with years of busyness, with wounds, with stories you told yourself to survive. But underneath all of it, the essence remains untouched. That's what I am means. Not a person outside of you judging or rescuing, but a living presence that breathes through you even when you forget it's there. It's not a God of distance, it's a God of nearness. So close, you've mistaken it for your own thoughts. And maybe what you've been calling anxiety is just the pressure of living cut off from that presence. Not because you failed, but because you were never taught that rest is not laziness, that peace is not passive, that identity is not performance. You were handed ideas about worth and purpose that never included stillness or surrender or the wild grace of simply being. And so your nervous system is exhausted, your soul is homesick, and your heart doesn't need a 5-step plan, it just needs permission to come back. Back to what was never gone, only quiet. Back to I am. The truth is, life isn't asking you to solve everything. It's not requiring you to have answers, nor to always be strong. It's simply asking you to be here, fully, honestly, even broken if needed. Because the deeper kind of life, the one Jesus spoke about, doesn't begin when everything's figured out. It begins when you stop running from your own presence, when you pause long enough to notice the breath in your lungs and remember you're still alive. And being alive is already holy. You don't have to agree with anything right now. You don't have to understand it all, or even believe in anything beyond what you're feeling in this moment. The space is not about fixing or convincing, it's about remembering that you are not your failure, you are not your job, you are not your past, you are not what they expect. You are something deeper. And the life you're searching for, it's not out there, it's not later, it's now. So maybe, just for now, it's okay to put it all down, to let go of the need to prove, to explain, to get it right, to stop measuring your days by how much you've achieved or how little you've rested. You spent enough time trying to become. What if the point isn't to become anything at all, but to return? Return to the stillness, to the breath, to the presence that says gently and without condition, I am, and so are you. And if something in you has softened while listening, if some small corner of your heart feels a little more seen, a little less alone, then stay. Not to analyze, not to figure out what comes next, just stay. Be here with yourself, in the quiet, because this is where it begins. Not with a breakthrough, not with a plan, just with this presence. Sometimes, the hardest part of the journey is that it doesn't feel like one. There's no grand moment of awakening, no voice from the sky, just the slow, quiet erosion of your connection to yourself. You wake up, check your phone, fill your day, respond, deliver, and yet something vital in you remains untouched. You think maybe you're just tired, that a break will fix it, but deep down you sense it's not about time, it's about direction. The path you're walking is efficient, acceptable, even admirable, but it's not yours. And the truth begins to ache. What blocks us isn't darkness, it's the noise. It's being so wrapped in activity, in people-pleasing, in the pressure to perform, that you lose the sound of your own spirit. You become a version of yourself that works, but not one that feels alive. And the world rewards that. It applauds the mask. It pays you for staying numb. It doesn't tell you you've gone missing, only that you're succeeding. And so you keep walking further away from home, even as the soul softly knocks, hoping to be remembered. Jesus never invited people to believe in a concept. He invited them to follow, not as soldiers in a cause, but as people willing to walk into their own lives with open eyes. To follow meant leaving something behind, not always your job, your family, your city, but your false center, the part of you built on fear, on proving, on being seen. When he said, I am the way, it wasn't a demand, it was a reminder that the way out is into yourself, into truth, into presence. But we resist because truth costs something. It asks us to let go of identities we've built so carefully, walls we've crafted for safety, routines that numb just enough to keep us going. It's easier to say we're fine. It's easier to spiritualize the pain or avoid it altogether. But Jesus never avoided pain. He walked through it with open hands, through deserts, through betrayal, through silence, not to conquer it, but to be fully present in it. And that changes everything. We want life to begin once we're healed, once we're clear, once we're better. But what Jesus shows in how he walked, how he paused, how he wept, is that life is here, even now, in the middle of confusion, in the breaking, in the waiting. He didn't bypass the mess. He sat in it with others and named it real. That's why people followed him, not because he was perfect, but because he made them feel seen without needing to perform. When you believe you have to earn love, you hustle, you hide, you disconnect. But when you remember love already is, something begins to soften. The shoulders drop, the breath deepens, the moment feels less like an obstacle and more like an opening. That's what the life means. It's not an escape, it's a return to what's real, to what's present, to what holds you even when you forget how to hold yourself. And the truth is, it doesn't always come as clarity. Sometimes it comes as discomfort, as a growing restlessness, as the quiet realization that something in your story no longer fits, not because you're wrong, but because you're growing. Jesus said the truth would set us free, not make us comfortable. Truth pulls at what's false, not to punish, but to release. And the releasing hurts, but the pain is holy. It's honest. You might start to notice it in your own life. in the roles that feel too tight, in the silence after the applause, in the habits that no longer soothe. You'll notice your laughter feels thinner, your yes feels heavier, your reflection starts to ask questions you've avoided. And that's not weakness, that's awakening. That's the Spirit stirring, not to shame you, but to bring you back, to gently dismantle the lies you've lived in for too long. And you don't have to fix it right away. You don't need a map. All you need for now is the courage to be honest, not with the world, but with yourself. To admit that something feels off, that maybe the ladder you've been climbing is leaning on the wrong wall, and that you want to turn, not toward something outside of you, but toward what's always been quietly waiting, the I am that never left. So let this sit with you. Don't rush past it. Don't turn it into homework. Just breathe with it. Let the weight of pretending fall off your shoulders for a moment, and stay in this quiet space, not to escape life, but to meet it again, differently, from within, from presence, from truth. There's a moment, after the noise, after the unraveling, when we're finally still enough to notice what's real. Not perfect, not resolved, just real. And that's where the shift begins. Not through pressure or performance, but through presence, through letting the truth that stirred inside you stay long enough to change how you move. Because the path is not about distance, it's about direction, and the first turn is inward. One small practice that opens this path. Before the day begins, sit in silence, even for just 1 minute. Not to pray with words, not to ask for anything, just to be there, fully, with yourself and with Christ. Place your hand on your chest if it helps. Feel your own presence. Whisper, I'm here, and so are you. This is not routine, it's realignment. It's remembering the way is already within you. Another, throughout the day, gently ask, is this true? When you rush, when you compare, when fear speaks, pause and ask, not with judgment, but with kindness. Is this voice speaking from the truth of Christ in me, or from a wound I've carried too long? Little by little, this question becomes a compass, one that leads you out of reaction and back into reality. And if it feels right, take a walk at sunset, alone, without headphones, without hurry. Let the colors wash over whatever the day left behind. Let each step remind you that there's nothing to fix right now. There's only this moment. And this moment walked with Christ is enough. Even if you feel heavy, even if nothing has changed yet, especially then. I remember a night years ago, sitting on the floor of a dimly lit room, feeling like I had failed at everything I thought I was supposed to be. The plans had collapsed, the identity had crumbled, and all I could do was breathe. But something strange happened. I didn't feel abandoned, I felt held. Not in a way I could explain, just a quiet sense that even here, even now, I hadn't left the path. I had only removed the disguise. That's the paradox of this journey. You don't walk it to arrive somewhere else. You walk it to come home, to where you've always belonged. And Christ doesn't wait at the end. He walks with you through the mess, through the joy, through the doubt. He is not a destination. He is the breath beside you, the truth beneath the noise, the life that keeps beating even when you've lost your rhythm. So if you're tired, come sit. If you're uncertain, rest here. There is no rush. The truth doesn't pressure you. It frees you. You don't need a new plan tonight. You don't need to prove anything tomorrow. What you need is already with you. Quiet, steady, present. You can begin again at any time, even now, even here. If this message met something tender in you, I hope you'll stay close, not just for the next video, but for the quiet walk we're taking together. This space is for people who are tired of pretending, people who want to live with Christ not as a slogan, but as breath, as courage, as truth. You're not alone in this. I'm walking too. You're welcome here as you are. And if it speaks to your soul, I invite you to follow the channel not out of duty, but as a way of saying yes to the journey, a way of choosing to keep waking up again and again to what matters, to what heals, to what's real. I'll be here quietly waiting for every step you take. May God bless you deeply, and may you walk
awake, with Christ at the center.